Los Angeles in 1989 when the earthquake hit San Francisco. And we didn't feel it. We saw it on the news. I had the call to come here, and I'd taken the call, and then the mission board said, oh, there's this conference was called Reaching the Unchurched in the 90s. So they sent me and another pastor out there for that conference, which was a good conference. It was in Anaheim. But we're sitting there eating dinner one night, and the news is like, there's this big earthquake in San Francisco, and it's like, oh yeah, well, we better call our wives and tell them that we're okay back in Chicago. And the circuits were all down in California because of the emergency. So we couldn't get through for several hours to tell them that we didn't actually feel it in LA. So
Yeah,
That
and
was
my
as close as I've
geography
been.
was, I knew it was in Anaheim, but, I didn't know,
You
how much
how
was,
close-
how much was
Yeah.
involved and what had happened and,
it's like that line
So-
from Fiddler on the Roof where they say, we're going to Chicago, America, we're going to New York, America, we'll be neighbors,
Dan's favorite movie.
Well, we had one here, I felt it.
I
It
thought,
was, epicenter was just west of here. What's the name of that town that starts with a W?
Wellington?
No, straight out 224.
Wellington.
No, that's 18.
220.
West Salem?
West
No,
Salem.
right out, straight out. Well, anyway,
Oh, not Wellington.
I was sitting in the living room. We had a carpet guy in the garage cutting our new carpet, and I was sitting in the living room, and all of a sudden, everything was like rubber
Yeah.
for like 3 seconds or 4 seconds. And I went out into the garage where the sky was, and I said, "You feel that?" And he goes, "No, I didn't feel a thing." I'm like, he was on his hands and knees. He didn't feel that. I saw it. My whole house was like waving.
Was it after a beer?
No, but I had one after that.
Yeah, I remember that one.
What was the name? What's the name? It was just 30 miles west.
Yeah,
of
no,
here.
I know.
Willard?
Willard. That's where
yes.
the epicenter was.
Willard.
Thanks, Jude.
You're welcome. I'm just trying
I would
to
have got it later.
It would have been
called
bugging me
later.
too. I know it. I've been through it a number of times. Willard. All right. How about on a storm on the sea?
Yeah.
Cruise ship?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've been Lake Erie when it kicked up.
They sneak up on you on Lake
Oh,
Erie. It's like you don't
I
know
don't,
they're coming.
I won't, that was the last time I was out on that lake. I'll never go out there again.
I've seen, Angry Ocean with
Mm-hmm.
hurricanes offshore.
Yeah, we have, haven't we?
Offshore?
Yeah, offshore.
There was that one we were there, and it was like 500 miles offshore, but it was the waves and
That was
the, just
Michael.
the.
Hurricane Michael, was that? When we were in the Outer Banks that time, it just rained. Remember?
No.
We got on the wrong side of the bridge and they closed it.
Oh, yeah.
We couldn't get back to you guys.
No,
and
it
then
was Michael, yeah, it was
you
something
guys were all
else.
happy we couldn't get back. We got rid of them.
Ed, you were starting to.
We had one, we were just coming back from the Mediterranean. We were like 3 days out from the coast here, right? And there was a massive snowstorm here, and it changed, and it went out to sea, up by that way, right? And it hit us about 2 o'clock in the morning, hurricane force winds. And I mean, I
I couldn't
I was
imagine that on a
sleeping,
boat. Oh,
you know,
I wonder how
like,
big the boat
you know,
is.
So they couldn't warn you? Did they?
there was no warning, there was nothing, everything just hit so fast.
Thank you.
Your turn.
And
Oh, do you
all of a
want to
sudden, all of a
I've been
sudden,
doing this
general
the
quarters,
last 2 days.
all
Oh,
hands
really?
at battle
Wow.
stations, this is no drill. And I mean, the whole ship, I'm literally, and I thought we got hit by something,
Oh, wow.
and stuff like that. And they said we couldn't leave our quarters, we couldn't leave nothing. Everybody stay where they're at, the troops and stuff. The next morning, they opened the doors for us a little bit, and I went up into basically like officer country, okay, the upper part of the ship, and it was nothing but water everywhere. Everywhere, water everywhere and stuff like that. And I found out what they said happened is the ship went down in a wave, and they estimated at least 60 feet.
Oh, my gosh.
That gives
Yeah.
me the chills.
And it was just one of those things, and it ripped the railings off the ship.
Yeah.
We had 2 6-inch gun mounts in the front. It bent those out. Took the captain's boat the dinghies that they have, it bent them in half and killed the captain.
Killed the
Oh
captain.
my gosh.
Because the
No
railing came right through the bridge.
Oh my gosh.
Holy cow.
Was he the only one that lost his life?
No, there were a lot of them.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, we had a carrier with us, a helicopter ship with us, the Enchon, and they couldn't package them up fast enough and stuff like that. They lost choppers, they lost all sorts of stuff. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
It was, yeah, for 2 days, man, it was nothing but rough seas. I
Oh,
mean,
it didn't end.
and the thing is, I always reference this, we had 2 troop carriers, like in, the ones that go to the beach and they open the
Oh,
doors
yes,
and
yes.
stuff like that. Yeah, we had 2 of those, and you could see it sitting in the water, and we're watching it, and you could see the back end coming up, the propellers turn and stuff like that, and then come down,
No
and the front
kidding.
end going up like that. I mean, it was that way for, yeah. They had choppers coming in to get the wounded off and everything else like that, and they're hovering over the back of the ship, and it's going like this, and they're
Yeah.
just basically matching the speed coming down to get people off and stuff. It was a mess. Nobody expected it. They just looking at the shore and stuff like that, and everything just turned and just came right straight at us. There was no time, nothing. Yeah, but yeah, it was a fun time.
Memorable.
Very much.
Hey, remember that one?
Yeah, very much so. So I say when those people hit, when they have bad weather on ships, I know what that's like.
So here's the question. What did you think and feel when all this was going on?
Scared,
Yeah.
very scared.
Yeah.
It's because you got no control.
Right.
That's why.
Yeah.
Well, and the bottom's a long way down. You're not coming back from that one.
Well, exactly.
No, but,
I mean, you don't know what's happening.
Yeah, you don't know what's happening, but I'm just still it's that you don't have control. It's like rides at the amusement parks.
Yeah.
I can't handle them things,
Yeah.
but I can do stuff that never bothers me, But them things,
Yeah.
I can't handle them because I ain't the one steering it. I ain't the one
Yeah.
holding the
Yeah,
controls
you're
or
not
the
in
gas
control.
pedal or whatever. Yeah.
I never thought of myself that way, but I have a feeling I have the same issue because I can't do rides either. I just,
Yeah.
some people just love
Even
them.
when you
and
were
I
younger,
just
like when you were
cannot.
younger?
When I was younger, I could do like
I-
all these like
I couldn't do
little,
that either. Never could.
little rides, but now,
No.
Yeah.
All right, how about this one? Did you pray?
Didn't stop.
Non-stop.
I don't remember. See, because we were on Lake Erie, and what you just said about going up and down on propellers.
Yeah.
My brothers had some big boats, and I remember that we got out there, and they just kept going, and I'm like, turn around. And we couldn't because the wave would took us down.
Right, yeah.
But we'd go up, we'd see everything, we'd go down, and that's all
Nothing.
you seen was water, and it was just like,
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, if you've never experienced anything like that, you have no clue
Yeah.
as to what it could really be like. And I watch some of these movies and stuff like that, and I'm thinking, when they're doing that and stuff, yep, that's exactly the way.
Yeah.
It's like,
We've been on a cruise ship coming across the Gulf when this big squall came,
yeah,
and you're right. You don't have control.
Yeah.
That's when the fear really hits you.
Yeah.
And I went out on deck because I want to know what's going on. And when I went out on deck, I went, holy crap, I'm going back in.
yeah. You don't want to be out
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they were,
Where's Dan? He went outside.
He just went by the window.
she was
He was waving.
He was in that orange thing,
Yeah.
that- he at least had his
Yeah.
preserver on.
Yeah, we were on a fall foliage cruise when we had a storm hit. We were just coming back from an excursion and they radioed all the tours, get back now, we are leaving in 15 minutes.
wow.
Yeah.
And we had dinner and you could tell that it was getting rough.
The water was going
Yeah.
in your glass.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
actually not yet. And
Not
then,
yet.
then I went into the casino and he's standing there and he says, it's getting worse, I can't take
I
this.
can't take it anymore. We ran back down to the cabin, you know, and we're just laying in the bed and stuff like that, and all of a
Watching
sudden,
TV.
it starts.
Yeah.
And then the
drawers are
drawers are
open.
moving in and out. It's like, oh, this is not gonna be a good night. And we were on the bottom. I always go on the bottom of the ship whenever
Most
I
stable
can.
place.
Yeah, you know, because you don't have nowhere near the movement.
Right.
the
Yeah, that's the first
lower
fill
you
with
go.
water though, no?
You don't have to agonize as
When the
long.
watertight doors are working, that's what
Oh,
I was saying before. They had, I can't imagine being, you're locked in the bottom of the ship, you gotta stay where you are, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah,
But when you get out, there's 6 inches of water in the decks above you.
yeah,
So it's like, holy cow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that morning there was still lots of water all over the
Yeah, all over the place.
All our deck chairs ended up in the pools. and
Yeah.
traffic.
Yeah,
It was so windy, they gave up.
yeah.
Everything ended up in the pools.
They had most of that already tied down, because.
This thing must have hit, like you say, come out of nowhere, or they weren't paying attention.
They weren't, probably not watching it.
One time we were on a casino ship in Florida, they go out there, I think 9 miles, and then they just stop. You can gamble now, you're outside the limits.
Yeah.
Well, we're on that thing, and so we're in there gambling and all that, and I'm not a gambler, so I was walking around and I happened to
just
go by the bridge.
Yeah.
And there's nobody in the bridge.
They're gambling.
Completely empty.
Yeah.
They're gambling.
And we're in a shipping lane.
Oh.
And I can see ships coming and going. And the captain and are way in the back of the ship drinking.
Oh, shit.
They're sitting around the
Get
table,
me
all the
off the
guys.
ship
And the
now.
only guy that was I looked in the window, the only guy I could see was a guy on a radio, one of those, they have a little radio room.
Yeah,
But there's nobody in the bridge.
it's all computer
We're
controlled.
just floating
Yeah,
out there in the
It's
middle
all
of
computer
nowhere.
controlled, everything.
I was astounded.
Yeah.
Last time I'm going on one of these.
I'd have taken it for a spin.
I probably could have gone on Q or something.
Okay. So what kind of prayers do you pray under those kind of circumstances? The follow-up question is compare this to other sorts of prayer you use in your life. So in the storm, it's happening, it's going around, and what are you praying? The only prayers you know are,
Prayer to give you strength to make it through it.
yeah.
Yeah, for immediate results.
Yeah. Come, Lord Jesus, be our guest.
And if I
Get
have
her
to
now,
go,
quick.
let it be quick.
What, Ed?
I said, if I have to go, let it be quick.
And I often thought wouldn't drowning be a horror, would it?
Well, they say it doesn't take long.
Really?
Mm.
You know what a minute is like?
Forever.
When you're struggling?
Yeah, but I mean, it's I don't know. I've never drowned, so I can't say.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like,
Okay, so who says it doesn't take long? I mean,
Yeah.
well,
Scientists, but what do they
guys
know?
who
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
people,
Scientists, what do they know?
drown.
Yeah.
You know?
Who's timing it?
Yeah.
I mean, do they have volunteers for this? That they?
Yeah.
We did a study.
It's like this.
Yeah.
How is that?
Enjoy that.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, let's move on and let's read these verses. Somebody please read 35 and 36. This is the setup.
That day when evening came, he said to his disciples, Let us go over to the other side. Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along. Just as he was in the boat, there was also other boats with him.
Okay, good. Okay, so like I said earlier this morning, the disciples were in the boat with Jesus, but there were others around, so others experienced the same things that these guys were doing, which may or may not be important, but it's like he wasn't just with his disciples. Jesus had been teaching in parables all day, including, and in particular in Mark 4, the one about the sower and the seed, where he sows it in different kinds of ground. The one about putting the lamp on the stand, not under a bushel. The one about how a seed mysteriously grows. So you go out and plant the seed and you go to bed, and eventually the seed comes up and you go, how'd that happen? You planted it, but how did it come up? You don't know. And the one about the mustard seed, where it's the smallest seed, but it grows into a big bush. Okay. So that's the background, and here are the verses again. What might have prompted Jesus to want to leave where he was teaching, move to the other side of the Sea of Galilee?
he knew the storm was coming.
So he wanted to meet it?
Yeah, maybe. See what they do.
Yeah, testing them or wanted to
Testing
show
them,
them,
okay.
but he was, because he knew that, I mean, he knows what they thought and what they felt. Maybe he thought, I need to show them.
See how they would handle it.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that until you said
You
that.
know, and the thing that I look at it is, you know, he's sleeping on the back of the boat. Now, if there's a massive storm, you don't normally, a regular person just would not sleep through that. You're awake the entire time, wondering, you know?
Yeah.
So is he testing?
You know, and I'm sure they had things to do on the ship. So it's like, will they come and get me, or will they handle it?
Excuse me. I didn't.
Danger time.
Oh, he went back
He's a
instead. I watched him. He just, he
Yeah,
went this
back
way
right.
He saw
instead
it
of,
coming. He's got eyes in the back of
Oh,
his
thank
head.
you.
they do.
My mom used to have a ritual. Just before she'd swat it, she would say, "So this is where you want to die."
You know what? There's a
And
lot.
then she'd get it, so it was like a magic incantation. All right. No,
Seriously.
seriously.
You
pretty
might
good.
have wounded him.
Nine
Did you
lives,
wound him, Elise?
Well, you think he is? I'm not calling
I
him
see him
a
there.
table,
Is that him? Bev, do you have a long foot?
You fall over, I ain't picking
I
you
know you have a
up.
short leg.
Well, I was gonna say, all I see is
This looks
the,
really weird on the video. You know?
you're gonna have to edit it. I
Yeah,
don't see it.
definitely.
There's something down there.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Trude, you're almost
there,
That's it.
yeah.
I don't think that's him. Oh, yes, it is.
Yeah.
See what happens when you give
All you
stuff
hear
like
is
that?
All right, yeah.
She loses focus.
Those things have been
no, I
driving me
wouldn't.
nuts
I know they're
for
really
2 days.
so
That's
many
all I've been
of them.
doing in
Why
the
are there
house.
so
It's
many
nice
of
if you
them?
had kids in and out all the time, but where are they coming from? I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to be
Yeah.
sorry. Bev caught a cicada in the house yesterday. I could
Oh,
send you some
no.
of those.
Oh my gosh, it was loud. I think,
How did they
we've
get
had
in
the garage doors and, we've been
Yeah.
in and out of the garage
We were
and
doing the
all that
garden
kind of
yesterday.
stuff.
I'm gonna say, I've never had one get in the house. That's
Oh my gosh,
crazy.
it sounded horrible. I just,
Well, here's his brother, Trudy.
Well, watch his equipment. No. I don't have money
There goes
for
the
it.
camera.
He went.
Yeah, you got it.
So I can put him right in the garbage.
You can.
I thought I saw the bad guy at your house too.
The bat guy?
Yeah.
No, he hasn't
Yeah.
been at our house in a long time.
Really?
The orchid guy was there
Yeah,
a couple of weeks ago. But
yeah, we have all kinds of things.
I see you get
Anyway.
It's like Noah's Ark.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
the cicada
really.
comes in. So the orchid guy was here, and the cicada comes in. So. Well, that's a couple of weeks later.
Followed him.
Yeah.
We didn't spray for cicadas.
I couldn't. How'd you get it out?
I put a cup over it and,
So I
something
couldn't get that close to
underneath.
it.
and
Oh, I
just
love that.
Took it outside.
Good.
and,
Yeah, I like that one.
Of course,
I just leave the cup there for Dan to handle.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well,
nah,
you
took
can
it
eat them,
outside
they
for-
say.
I know the cats do.
Yeah,
Is that the brown one that's crunchy?
this was green.
They're the
This was, this,
It was
Were they
green.
like
It
The
looked like
brown
it had-
is usually the after,
yeah.
after they shed their skin.
Oh, okay.
The shell.
They're-
But I mean, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The live
yeah, that's
ones
harmless.
are-
It's
They
just
turn brown though if you roast them too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yum, yum.
They're crunchy, I know.
Yep.
Yeah, I
This
can't.
was
Like
green.
eating
It
a
looked like it
Snickers
had
bar.
algae. on it.
Oh, gee.
Fin of the water.
Cicadas roasting on an open fire.
Okay, so we were talking about Jesus maybe leaving and moving to the other side so that maybe he wanted to, but what is that? So if he wanted to show the disciples what he could do or, demonstrate or even test them, what does it say about, that part in the Lord's Prayer where it says, lead us not into temptation? Do you think God sometimes deliberately does things so that we could, what do you think about that?
Sure.
Sounds
In
good.
some ways he
Maybe, I
does.
don't know.
Things happen to test you.
Test, yeah.
You know?
But they weren't your normal group of people, though. they really had to believe in him to be the disciples. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
Well, let's do it the other way around. Did Jesus tell these disciples to do that so that he could test their faith? Or did Jesus tell the disciples to do that so that he could demonstrate his power?
Possibly a combination. You know?
Yeah, maybe. I guess I'm just,
Well, it was more the power
because the catechism says God doesn't tempt anybody, and says there's no temptations. God doesn't actually tempt anybody. So what if, what if we're thinking, what if our thinking is backwards on this? Does God test us to test our faith? Or is God doing some things to demonstrate his power, and then we just have a poor response? Like the disciples. Don't you care about us?
Yeah. Maybe
That's
that's
very
the
possible,
better one.
Hmm?
That maybe that's the better solution to it.
Yeah. What does this particular incident teach us about Jesus' ministry and his heart for his creation?
Well, that obviously he loves his creation and will defend it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing he can't fix.
Mm. Everything is at his command.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else you want to throw in there?
Well, to me, it just seems like no matter what happens, you have to keep the faith in him. And he was a little upset that they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
After all the things he had done up to this point, they still were lacking in faith. And to me, it's no matter what, you got to have faith to get you through it.
Okay. All right, let's go on then. Thank you. Let's go on then, 37 and 38.
A furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat, so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?"
Okay, thank you. What do you think? Did Jesus care whether they drowned or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course he
But
does.
they didn't see it. And I think sometimes I think sometimes that's my problem, with faith and faith in the midst of a storm. It's like, I guess I want to see it. And sometimes in that midst of the storm, you don't see it.
Mhm.
Afterwards you can look back and
Right.
say, oh yes, I see where I was led, or, where Jesus got worked. But sometimes in the midst of that, you do your crying out and it's like, where are you? We're being swamped,
Mhm.
we're being overcome. I'm crying out, or I'm looking for you, or I'm doing
Mhm.
what I think I should be doing, and he's
Mhm.
asleep
Mhm.
in the back of the boat.
Mhm.
yeah.
And that's I think, I don't say common, but it certainly could be a common frustration,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
if you're calling out
Yeah.
to him. It's like, you don't see the immediate results.
Okay.
All in his time, right?
Right, definitely. But again, that's easier to look at from the back or,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
after
Yep.
you've been through it.
Hindsight, you know.
Yes, the hindsight stuff, and put it all together, and that's a good thing too. You know, sitting there and figuring it all out.
Mhm.
Post-op conference, you know.
In one respect, the way I look at this, and especially this one, is these guys are fishermen.
Mhm.
They've been out on these boats their whole lives. Okay? So I'm sure they've been in storms
Mhm.
before, you know, and all of a sudden, so this storm here had to be so massive
Right.
that these guys had no clue what to do anymore, or that it was basically like, we're screwed, we're done, this boat's gonna sink,
Mhm.
you know? So it's like, you gotta kind of wonder.
I just thought of when you were actually in the sermon, you were saying, you know, wicked tuna Outer Banks. I was thinking
Mhm.
wicked disciples, Galilee Sea.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and a lot of times we have, you know, storms in our lives, and
Mhm.
you know, even though it's something obviously, you know, we're asking for help or whatever, but when you're out there and you're like Ed describing that, you know, the ship and everything,
Yeah.
that's happening fast, that's happening now.
Right.
You're not having time to think about anything else,
Right.
and it's
Yeah.
that had to, you know, be
Yeah.
really scary.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, you know, these are, you know, seasoned
Mhm.
fishermen, and
Mhm.
you know, so they've
Mhm. Sure.
They're just assuming Jesus to pop up. Hey,
Yeah.
don't you know what's going on here?
Yeah.
You know, when
Yeah, that's right.
he was dead asleep. He was really asleep.
Mm-hmm.
You've been there.
Where are
Dead
you?
asleep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have actually.
When a storm was going by,
I
right?
was just remembering this as we were talking just now. So, many years ago, when we first got here, within the first 10 years of being here, Joanne Segedy and I and somebody else, I don't remember who it, might have been Betty. Anyway, Joanne was there and I was there, and maybe Christy Roberts. We took the youth group to Kings Island. So there was us and a bunch of kids, and it was a Lutheran Youth Day at Kings Island. So we were in the campground overnight. We drove down, went in the campground, and went to Kings Island all day, and then drove home. It was like, but that night we were in the campground, there was severe thunderstorms going through the area, and we had tents that were like on-the-ground tents, and these severe thunderstorms. And somewhere in the night, I get wakened up, and it's not because there's a thunderstorm going in the area, but it's because the women and the kids are like, "Pastor, get up! We have to sleep in the truck. There's a thunderstorm coming through." I'm like, "I'm fine in the tent." No, we have to sleep in the truck. We're all getting in the trucks. I'm like, "You guys get in the truck. I'm fine. I'm in my sleeping bag. I'm on a cot. I'm in a tent. I'm not getting in the truck." No, you have to get in the truck. We're all in the truck. We'll feel safer if you're in the truck. I'm like, "How are you going to feel safer if I'm in the truck?"
I'm not gonna say
Please come in the truck. So I got in the truck.
And then you didn't sleep, did you?
And then I didn't sleep.
Yeah, I know. It's just like,
You know? And I didn't sleep.
Exactly.
They just didn't want to see you floating by.
Because
You know?
only
There you go.
teenagers could sleep in a truck, you know?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
can't, you know, it's like, you gotta be kidding me.
when we were down there in Outer Banks one time, there was a big storm. Somebody asked me, how bad was it? I said, "I don't know, I was sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I slept right through it. Didn't
Yeah.
bother me a
The house
bit.
is
You
kind
know?
of
Yeah.
rocky.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just
Windy.
fine, man.
So what'd you learn from this section about Jesus' confidence and the disciples' confidence in Jesus? And what surprises you and why? What did Jesus seem to have confidence in?
Control.
Yeah. He wasn't afraid of the storm. He knew what he could do, and he ultimately did. What about the disciples' confidence in Jesus?
A little lacking. Yeah, a little lacking, yeah.
I mean, they knew he would help them, but,
Right.
you know,
They weren't 100% sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
There was doubts.
Yeah, there was, definitely, or they wouldn't have said that.
Yeah, they wouldn't have woke him up if they didn't think he could help them, but.
Yeah.
What baffles me is when they say, "Who is this?" Say, didn't you know who you were following to begin with?
Really, yeah, how many times do you have to prove
Yeah.
that what you can do
Yeah.
before you look and go, you know, there's gotta be, you know, it's
Yeah,
like.
exactly.
I mean, after the first or second one, you're going, okay, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking, I think of kids sometimes. You know, I think kids and dads. So I think most kids get to the point where as they watch their dad, when they're real young, they get to the point where as they're watching their dad, they go, wow, Dad, you can do anything. Right? But then there comes a time where Dad does something unexpected and they go, wow, Dad, I never knew you could do that.
You know.
That makes some sense, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that's our world, but I mean, when you get a guy that goes up and turns the water into wine, you look at it and go, okay, I've never seen that one done before, you know, or helping people and
guy's
doing
pretty
this, you know.
But is the
Yeah.
calming the storm more spectacular than the water to wine?
Well, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it actually impacted these guys, and I think that's another thing too. You know, turning the
Yeah.
water into wine is like, oh, okay, it's, you know, it's kind of like watching The Magician, you know, that starts out with some little tricks, and
Right,
it's like,
yeah.
oh, these are cool, these
Yeah.
are fun.
Make sure you
And
invite
then
that guy to
they-
the next party.
Yeah,
that's right,
right,
yeah.
but then they get to, you know,
Yeah,
their,
life
their
and-
ultimate,
life
and
threatening,
then
life
it's
threatening.
like, wow,
Well, the
that's
thing is-
It's their own
impressive.
mentality.
I just-
They're-
They were with him for 3 years, and even up until the crucifixion, there was
They were
still
still saying,
doubt.
wow.
Sure.
There were still doubts.
You know, and
But
it's like,
isn't
Simple
that human
humans.
though?
How
I
much
mean,
does it take?
That's what we're human.
That's what he was thinking
it's-
too.
you know, how much does it take for you to realize this? Well, I don't know. You still haven't done something that I can really say that you are. You know, it's like,
Sometimes I look at my face like that, you know.
Well, and
it's
nothing
like
has
how
changed.
much, yeah.
We have all this, we see all this, and we still
see-
doubt.
Yes.
Yeah.
When
And we don't even
because when
have-
tragedy hits, it's like you're just consumed by
And we
it.
don't even have physically Jesus here,
Right,
Right,
right.
Yeah.
you know.
And
you
we know what
good
he's
point, Martha.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
they actually had Jesus right there in front of
Right.
them, and they still doubted.
yeah, they still doubt it.
Yeah.
You know, so
And seen it. It's like,
Good point.
Similar
I can't
humans.
say that this is real. But you know, it's like, what do you want?
And when he stopped the wind and the waves, you know, he looked at him and said, now you happy?
Yeah.
Can I go back to sleep now?
He probably did say that. They just didn't write that part down. You know?
Yeah,
You
well, I was
guys
gonna say,
really that
depends on how you
stupid? Come
look
on.
at
Yeah.
Get with the program here.
You know, Ed is right. They were with him ultimately for 3 years, and by the time that 3 years was coming to an end, they were still like, we don't understand half of this.
Yeah.
They still didn't.
Well, it's hard
And
to
they didn't understand, and Jesus told them along the way, they wouldn't understand it all until the Holy Spirit came and enlightened them. So they really didn't get it until
Yeah.
Pentecost. Jesus clued him in after he rose from the dead, and he taught them a lot, but they really didn't understand it completely until Pentecost. But at this point, you know, look at this. This is Mark chapter 4. So this is in the early part. This is
Yeah.
just after a few months.
Right.
And you know, remember the wedding at Cana, you know, Jesus did do that, but only 6 of them were there
Right.
at that time, when we figured that out a couple weeks ago. They, you know, they weren't all there to see it, now they're all there. And the other interesting thing is, you know, at the wedding at Cana, to me is, the wedding at Cana, he changes water into wine, and only the disciples and he and Mary and the servants knew that he did that.
Yeah, right.
Now they're in the boat, in the water, and Mark specifically says there were other boats there,
Yeah.
okay?
Well, that's-
So
yeah.
other people, we presume, experienced this same calming. You know, otherwise, what, they're in a calm spot and everybody else is still jumping up and down in the waves. I imagine Jesus just cleared the whole thing. So other people witnessed it, but at this point in the ministry together, it's still early on. But you're right, by the time Jesus is going to the cross, they still don't understand. In fact, even after he rose from the dead, spent 40 days on and off teaching them more, they come to the mountain where he's going to ascend into heaven, and what do they ask him? Are you going to restore the kingdom to Israel now?
Really?
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
No. I'm going to heaven.
And that's is why I'm leaving.
Adios.
I'm done with you guys.
Yeah.
I've had enough.
Yeah. All right. Let's take the last couple of verses here. Somebody, please read those.
He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." Duh, I don't know who this is. I can't tell. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, and what is the time frame too with this?
right.
Is
Yeah.
it like the first couple of months that he was with the disciples?
yeah.
Was it, so were they still doubting, or was it at the end of the
Hold
3
on.
years?
No, this is in the beginning more.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. This is Wayne.
Oh, here you
Is he in on,
Hi, Wayne.
is he in on this?
Hi, Wayne. Hi. So Wayne said the umbrella that he took home is not his.
Uh-oh.
He said,
It's
"His
mine."
It's yours. It's Trudy's. Okay, so Wayne's umbrella is green, and he said, the umbrella that I took home is black,
Yeah.
and it's nicer than mine.
If he needs to keep it, that's fine.
Okay. It turns out to be Trudy's, so I'll let you talk to Trudy, Wayne.
No.
Okay.
Hi, Wayne.
Just put
I thought he wanted to
Oh.
comment on what we were
Yeah, I
talking
do.
about.
It's a spare one I keep in the car.
It's not Mary Poppins.
No.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it's,
So, all right.
That's fine. I'm in a hurry.
So, tell
Yes,
me
we
what
do,
you
yeah.
guys were
Like I said, I
saying.
keep those in the
How does
pockets of the
Jesus
car just so we
approach
have an
calming
umbrella.
the storm?
But yeah, we have plenty.
He talks to it.
He talks to it.
Quiet, be still.
I
Quiet.
guess on the table here in
Okay.
the Sunday school room.
Next weekend.
What is it the disciples don't
You want to see if
understand
they're all?
about Jesus
Yeah,
just
I'll
yet?
pick it up.
that he has the power to do
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That'll work. All right, thanks.
Dan, you
you like
still
your-
look, have an expression on your
Thank
face.
you
Like, I
too.
can't
Bye-bye.
believe about those guys.
Well, you're right. And I'm just thinking right now, they're looking at him, I think they must just think of Jesus, this guy that's standing there going, "Hey, cool,"
Yeah.
as just a normal person, not
Right.
thinking, did they really know that he's Jesus? Or is he just thinking, it's just one of the guys that's hanging around?
They don't know yet.
Yeah, they
Trudy
must
is
not.
far
So
into the
is
ministry.
that why they're still questioning?
Moses.
Who's this
Probably,
guy?
yeah.
I mean,
Who are you,
they
buddy?
kind of heard the stories and they kind of know, but they still like, is it true? They waited how many years
Yeah.
They have to see
for
it, to believe it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this promise to happen, and is like, is this true or not?
It's amazing.
I think Martha made a good point too. Between then and now, he was right there in their midst.
Yeah.
And when we deal with tragedy today, it's not like you can just walk over and say, "Hey, well, how should I handle this?"
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's a good point. And I know Bev was saying that Trudy wondered how far into the ministry this was, and it might have been, I don't know, several months anyway, a year or whatever, maybe that long. But how long does it take to really get to know somebody? I mean, did you guys know everything there was to know about each other after you'd been married for a year?
Trudy, let's not go there.
Yeah, no, we're not.
Oh, I want to hear
Or
this.
did you learn more about
I
each
wanna
other
hear
as
what
time
Trudy
went
is-
on?
Yeah, more as time
It's
went
a
on.
learning experience yet today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I know a lot about Dennis in the 2 years I've been with him.
Probably more than you want to know, right?
Oh, I don't want to share any of it.
That's okay. Keep that
Dennis
to
says
yourself.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that what you just said is people do change.
People change continuously.
Yeah.
And as they're growing up in their faith and stuff like that, Jesus is not changing.
Right.
He's the same person.
That's true.
Right.
You know, and as everybody walks around him and stuff like that, he just goes, okay, shoo, there it is. You know, and everybody just goes, wait a minute, how do you do that?
Yeah, this
You know,
had to be
well,
pretty
I
impressive.
am the man.
Yeah,
obviously.
exactly.
Okay, that's cool, but how do you do that? You know, it's like, you know,
Well, right, so, you know, but here's the thing. We have the advantage of knowing pretty much everything that there is to know about Jesus that
Right,
God wants us
whereas
to
they
know. They didn't yet.
no, they didn't know, and that's
Right.
part of the problem.
Right,
Yeah, and just like you were saying about the other boats and stuff like that. Now, these people, those boats could have been here, here, and here. Jesus is on this one. He says, stop everything the way it's going, right? These people have no clue.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
everything
about
just
that,
slowly
yeah.
calms down and then
Yeah.
stops. And they go,
What
hey,
happened?
storm's
Yeah.
over, great,
Yeah.
we're lucky.
yeah,
You know, now after everybody goes to shore and stuff like that, the disciples get off and you go, he said this, and they go, yeah, okay, fine. Really, you know?
that's a plausible
You know?
scenario, sure, why not?
And the thing is, I mean, right before that, Jesus talked to all them people and stuff like that, you know? So
Mhm.
people were listening, but the problem is their belief,
Yeah.
Right,
you know?
right,
I mean, that's even today. People say, hey, I can do this, and everybody goes, yeah, okay, fine. Then he does it and go, yeah, well, okay, maybe. You know? It's the same thing.
mm-hmm,
So, I mean, it's hard to say. Plus, the other thing is, my opinion,
okay,
we have no idea what their life was really like. You know, I mean, their daily lives and
Mhm.
stuff like that. We just look at it from the book point. You know, and everything they did and things that they did is not written completely the way it, you know, the way it happened.
right,
You know, so, you know, we have no idea what these people were like in those days. You know, their culture was totally different from ours.
mhm,
You know,
mhm.
I mean, even today, a lot of the Jews don't believe in Jesus.
Right,
You know, so,
Right.
and, you know, when you think about it,
yeah. Yeah, and that's true, but, you know, and there are times in the Gospels where Jesus is talking to some, like the Pharisees, or, you know, or whatever, and he's like, what do I have to do?
you know,
You know, and I think he does get to the point with some of them, where it's like, you've got everything you need, I'm not giving you any more.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Figure
like,
it
we
out.
want, toward the end of his ministry, we want to see a sign. He's like, what have I been doing for the last 3 years?
yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So they don't understand yet, this last question was here, what do they not yet understand? They just don't understand everything, they don't understand much. I mean, they're still putting the pieces together and not seeing the full picture. Well, that'll come for them. Let's look at this last question on the sheet. How does this miracle by Jesus show his power and his care for his creation? How does it show his power?
He can do anything, he can stop anything, he can control everything,
Yep.
you know, in his own way. And if he didn't care for the people or anything like that, he could have just said, yeah, too bad,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'll just walk away,
Mhm.
you know, you suffer.
So he has power over the sea and wind, but he uses that also to care for his disciples. Yeah, for his people. Sure. All right, good conversation, everybody. What, anything last things we need to say? Still not getting on a boat on Lake Erie, though.
No, ain't happening. Ain't happening, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once was enough.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's close with prayer. Thank you, everybody, for this conversation. It was a good one today. Always is, but this is good. Lord Jesus, we thank you that you're able to take care of all of creation. but you choose to take care of us. You choose to keep storms and winds in their place. You choose to keep other things from harming us because you love us, and you gave your life for us. You suffered and died for us. You rose again from the dead for us, and we're grateful for that. Help us to continue to be aware of that, to continue to be grateful to what you do, and help us to have a stronger faith in you, way stronger than those disciples, because we know who you are and what you have done and what you will still do for us according to your promise. Thank you for this conversation, this fellowship, this group today, this chance to worship you. Bless us in all things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.